Hello guys, Lich here. So this video will be an update for Lich Minion. I'm currently at T15 and so far it's pretty comfortable to play with the minions. It's just for the speed, it's pretty decent. I don't think it's that bad, but obviously you cannot compare it to something like Lightning Spear. It will be not even close to that kind of archetype. But overall it's pretty comfortable to play at T15. I made few changes on the build, so let's talk about that. The first one is the belt. I'm using this Midnight Braid. And this unit should be familiar if you play 0.1 minions. This is a belt that's going to give you 50% damage taken, recoup as mana, and the reason for this one because I'm trying to stacking mana, and it's going to synergize well with the Blackened Heart, which is my 4th ascendancy. And for the other gear, I'm still using Unfolding Dawn. The reason for that one is because of spirit. My spirit, I only have like 350 spirit. It's pretty rough in terms of spirit, and that's also because I don't have spirit on my amulet. I also do not have spirit on my scepter. So this is the two upgrade that I will chase a little bit later on, but I want to make this video first because my gear I think is pretty low budget. It's probably mid budget for most people. So all the gear that I'm using probably around like 5 to 6 divine. I don't think I spend more than that, and most of the cost comes to the Timber. So Timber is like 2 or 3 divine, and the Soul Core is around 1 divine. So most of the cost is basically on this Timber. And for the helmet, it's still the same thing. 2 minions. I basically just trying to cap my res. So the res is pretty much capped. I get like 20 chaos resistance, but so far it's not that bad. I get pretty decent mana recovery. So if I'm stationary, I'm at 175. If I move around, which you will always be move around when you're in map, I have like 216. So that's pretty nice, and that's about the itemization. So the next upgrade will be the +3 amulet with spirit and +4 scepter with spirit. That's the goal that I'm trying to achieve next. And for the passive tree, I got my 4 ascendancy. I'm taking Blackened Heart, and this is basically give you 4% increased magnitude of the Unholy Might buff per 100 maximum mana. Now I have 1200, so this means I get 48% magnitude of the Unholy Might buff. So this basically make the 30% becomes around 44 to 45%. And this is how the tree looks right now. So this is pretty standard for like mana stacking. I probably will have to adjust things a little bit later on when I get more level. Right now I'm level 88, so I still have like 12 points left. But there's a few notable that I kind of look into. The first one is pliable flesh, and the important part of this notable is 25% increased speed of recoup effect. So for people who are new, recoup is basically if when you take damage, you recoup it back over 8 seconds. So if you click the recoup effect, it's going to recoup the damage back to you over 8 seconds, and this notable basically make it into 6 seconds, so you recoup it faster. And another note that I'm looking at is this one over here. This is not that important, but if we can get like, this is 7 point, if we can get through this, we get a lot of AoE artifact curse, and this is going to increase the AoE of the blasphemy because I'm using blasphemy. So right now I'm at 5.8 meters, so this is pretty similar with the presence AoE. If we take this 4 node over here, I think it will go up to like 7.2 meters, something like that. And this will be important because I'm using time chain, and time chain is really good in terms of like defensive layer. And the reason why this is so good on the defensive layer because it's going to slow down all the enemy around you, and that's going to make you easier for you to navigate around the maps or around the monster or something like that. It make you less likely to get hit or something like that. So that's why I'm looking for this node over here. So that's 2 node I'm looking for, and another option is this Zero Socket over here, which we probably can use for something like against the Darkness Jewel, but that's going to cost you a lot of like point just to get like some spirit back. I don't know if that's going to be worth it, but that's an option that we can explore. And for the anointment, I go for Mass Hysteria. This is pretty standard too because Mass Hysteria gives 6% increased attack speed, and this is pretty cheap to anoint. And one note over here, I'm using 20% presence of area effect because this 2% of increased spirit, this is going to give me from 1 to 8. I'm not using that 8, so that's the reason I'm not taking this note over here. But if you need your spirit, you take this note over here, you can basically remove this one. 20% area of effect is pretty good, but it's not really necessary early on. And that's basically about the tree. And the next one is the skill gem. Now the detail of the skill gem will be on the descriptions, but I will just go over it quickly. So for the skeletal warrior, I'm using sacrificial lambs and withering touch plus splinter and demolisher for extra armor breaking. It's not going to break armor that much, but this is just additional setup. You don't really need these 2 gems. And the next one is blasphemy, and the reason why I'm using blasphemy instead of casting it because like I said, time chain is the part of the defensive layer. This makes the mapping a lot easier and a lot safer. And if I have to cast it every time I see a pack of monster, I think that that's going to become very troublesome. And not to mention also the curse delay is increased. So even with like focus curse, you're still going to have like 1 second delay, and that doesn't feel good at all. So for the blasphemy, I'm using time chain. I'm also using magnify effect, rituality curse. This basically to increase the area of effect, and the last one is encumbrance. Now, if you do not have the 5 link, encumbrance is not really necessary because we do have a increased magnitude of curse over here, and this focus is also optional. It's like this basically just to make the changes a little bit stronger. And for the minion, right now I'm using Reaver and Vault Guard. Now for the Reaver, you don't really have to if you still don't have enough spirit. And I would recommend something like if you can reach like 5 Reaver and 4 Vault Guard, like what I'm using right now is like the minimum. Use a Reaver, but if you can only summon like 2 or 3 of them, I would highly suggest just go for the Vault Guard. And for the Reaver, I'm using Heavy Swing, Physical Mastery, Martial Tempo, and Fire Infusion. Now for the Reaver, when you use Reaver, you really need to use the Enrage command. And the reason for this one, because the Enrage command will actually increase your DPS by a lot. This can push the DPS from 4.7k right now up to like 7-8k, depending on how long you can keep the Reaver alive. But the Enrage command does provide you with a lot of DPS. And the next one is the Vault Guard. It's still the same Vault Guard. I do 6 link them. I drop the Perfect Jewel Orb, so this is extra to define. I think Perfect Jewel Orb is like to define if on the market, but for me personally, I dropped this, so I'm just using it. And for the support gem, I'm using Scattershot, Ingenuity. Now Ingenuity is new. The reason for Ingenuity, because if you see the Explorative Grenade, which is basically the one skill that's going to deal a lot of DPS, and the cooldown is 1.3 seconds. And the reason why I'm using Ingenuity, if I take it off, the cooldown is like 1.67 seconds. And the basic attack is 1.33. Now, what happened usually is that you're going to attack, throw the grenade, and attack again, and then throw a grenade again. So it's kind of there's a little bit of delay. But one thing about the Ingenuity is I'm really not sure. Not to mention that now you have these 2 tab over here. That this one tab doesn't have a cooldown. So did they do the basic attack or they do the explosive grenade? I really don't know. But what I feel so far with Ingenuity, it make the Vault Guard more consistently throw the explosive grenade. That's basically about it. But like I said, this one is basically a experiments gems. So you can basically just remove this and just play it as usual. But for me right now, I'm using Ingenuity and it feels a lot more stable in terms of DPS output. And the next one is Feeding Frenzy, Have, and Master. Now Master is something you're going to use when you have more minions. So like it gives you 7% more DPS per different type of minion. So one is Scepter, second is Reaver, the third one is Cleric, the fourth one is Skeletal Warrior. So this gem basically gives me 28% more damage. And it's going to be very different depending on how many minions you use. And obviously for minion, it's going to be really depending on like how much spirit you have, and not to mention we also have limited support gem that you use. We have a limited support gem to use, so there's a limit that how much you can push these support gems. And the next one is I have 1 Skeletal Cleric, and I just equip with Last Cups. And if you don't like Ingenuity, if you think Ingenuity doesn't really do much here, you can put Ingenuity here. You can put Minion Mastery on the Vault Guard, and that's going to be fine. And the next one is Pain Offering. I'm using with Ablations, Dance Macabre, and Inspirations. And the reason for Inspiration, because the mana cost of the Pain Offering is actually pretty high. Right now it costs me 420 mana. If I'm not using Inspirations, that costs me 600 mana. This one is probably not necessary. Another option you can use for this is Persistent. It's going to make the Pain Offering last a little bit longer. And the next one is Solar Orbs. It's still the same thing. Fire Exposure, Fire Return, and Arcane Tempo. I take the strip away. That's basically increase the effect of exposure, and I put in Arcane Tempo just for like the fluidity of the mapping itself. This is not really necessary. You can just use the fire exposure and strip away. That's fine. And then under that, with Spell Cascade and Spell Echo, this is the same thing. So that's all the gems, and that's all the changes that I do with the passive tree and also the itemizations. Now the next one will be a lot more upgrade, and I will try to push mana stacking on this setup. And once again, I don't know how it's going to go, but I hope everything goes well. So I think that's all I have for you today. And if you like the content, consider like and subscribe. That will help the channel a lot. And thank you everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. I will see you guys on the next video.